My name is Curtis Fisher, and I work for the National Wildlife Federation. And I'm thrilled to be speaking with you about some exciting scenarios you're tackling in DesignQuest. As someone who's worked in environmental advocacy pretty much my entire life, I'm so excited to be having this conversation and sharing my inspiration for all things nature, for communities, for creating new leaders. We are at a critical moment on this planet, which we only have one planet that we know of, and the stakes couldn't be higher. There is so much opportunity as you are doing this amazing work to really have positive impact. And positive impact could be so many different things. And just taking care of yourself and becoming aware and what I would say whole about the interconnection between you, the planet, and communities that you live in and communities that you don't live in, and how we have one shared earth to protect, and how your work can have a dramatic impact on that is just so exciting. So I've spent the last 15 or so years working for the National Wildlife Federation, focused on the Northeast, which is New York, New Jersey, and all of New England for my organization. And my title is Northeast Regional Executive Director for the National Wildlife Federation. So my past, which I don't want to spend a lot of time on, has involved a range of different work, from volunteering when I was a kid, being involved in my community, and then working with nonprofit groups, then in government, and now back to nonprofit groups. So I'm really been blessed with an exciting career and opportunities to have an impact and to connect with amazing people. And that's what it's all about, is learning and growing with people in your community and with your family and beyond. So in addition to working on things like clean energy, clean water, clean air, one of the things that I care deeply about is connecting people to nature and expanding environmental education in schools. So the work that you're doing with DesignQuest is so much in alignment to that, and why I wanted to spend some time with you today and hopefully in the future to make the world more sustainable, innovative, and compassionate. These are core values that I hold, that I believe that you do too. So let's get to work as people involved in environmental action and engagement. So I just wanted to speak to a little context about how the National Wildlife Federation, works within education, and specifically with schools. We have programs. When you go to nwf.org, Eco Schools is a terrific program that provides really a great guide to how schools can become more sustainable and how students and teachers can be leaders in that effort. We also have a program called Schoolyard Habitats, not surprisingly, where we work to support schools in creating wildlife-friendly and educational green space, and Earth Tomorrow, which is focused on working on environmental justice, and specifically developing new leadership that we so desperately need. There's of all different kinds across obviously the country, where the National Wildlife Federation focuses its work. So our goal is to empower students and educators and give them the tools to take real action, whether it's green spaces I mentioned, pollinator gardens, art, music, any way that we can do this, all the better. And I'm sure you'll figure out like 100 new ways that I've never even thought of. So the DesignQuest project, I think, is really exciting for me to be involved in. I've done some of this work in the past, working with the amazing people that lead the DesignQuest. And I would encourage you to think about how your DesignQuest project can extend beyond just your school, your community. How can you incorporate sustainability themes into designs? How can you use art installations to educate, to motivate about climate change or habitat loss, or whatever you're passionate about? How art to me is so incredible to speak directly, to our true essence, and really the interconnection with all living creatures on the earth, in my opinion. So Like I said, I'm sure you're going to come up with 100 ideas I've never thought of, or thousands. And it's great to be on this journey with you. One of the things that we often mention to students is, how can you partner with, your other students, with teachers, with administrators, with a whole range of people in your community, to create eco-friendly spaces. That's a really exciting thing. And in some ways, the project itself, right, the art is a vehicle to achieve that. So that's one of the things that I would want you all to be thinking about. I wanted just to talk specifically about the Harvest for Change dinner scenario, which is, of course, super important challenge because the food choices we make have a huge impact, not just on your own health, but on the planet and wildlife. And I just want to make a full admission. I spent many years of environmental action without focus on food. And I think this is one of the most important issues that we face. Everybody needs food. We need clean air, we need clean water, and we need food. Food is so important. I've been working on a project related to certain agricultural food commodities like palm oil, soy, chocolate, that most people are not aware where that product is being produced and the impacts that it has on the planet. So I would just mention one specifically, beef being an example, that you might have heard that a lot of our beef comes from places that historically have been filled with tropical forests. So let's be specific, the Amazon being one example, that unfortunately one of the practices that occurs is to cut down trees, clear fields, and have cattle come in and graze at a very, just to note, not very productive, right? That's not the native habitat that is in those spaces, but their land in some cases is either very cheap or, unfortunately, some people take advantage of indigenous people and use their power and clout to basically steal land and pay no cost, clear the forest, bring in the cattle. That cycle needs to stop. And we need to protect the earth, and ultimately our tropical forests are a critical component of our ecosystem. So we see still thousands of acres being lost. We need to shift that paradigm. One very practical way is just to educate people, to ask questions about their food and where it's coming from. But giving people also some options is always a good thing. And we're also living in a wonderful new world of where there's more plant-based food options, and we learn about beans and how protein can be an important part of everyone's diet, but we don't have to eat red meat to get there. Or if you're eating red meat, can you reduce the amount of red meat you're eating and experiment with all the wonderful options, whether that's natural products like beans or soy, organically produced, and for the planet being one other option. So I think that's really important that we think about food. I'm so happy to be working on that for in terms of environmental advocacy. And just so you know, we're trying to get legislation passed for the first time in the United States that would require companies to say that they've done due diligence when they sell a product to, for instance, the state that you live in, New Jersey being an example, that they would have to certify that they know that didn't result in deforestation before they could sell it, like, for instance, to cafeterias that the state operates in, colleges and other places. So that's something that's an example of, taking from the food choices we make and how individuals can make them to public policy and things that we're trying to push at the National Wildlife Federation. So I wanted to, kind of skip that to closing remarks. I would just say, have fun. Passion and storytelling is what brings people in and gets their attention with the world we live in, with phones and computers. Attention is not something that comes easy. And I would just mention that you all are so much better situated to try to directly get the attention of the people that are the most important people on our planet, which is young people, because there is no doubt that if there's going to be change, it's going to come from people like yourself and your friends in your school. If you go back across the big changes that have occurred in society, the short story is it was because of young people. And that is something that I feel very passionate about. I hope that you see your part in this incredible world that we live and the opportunity to make change. Yeah, we got some tough work to do, and get yourself prepared for it and get to work, because, you know, that is something that I think is a critical part. Some people refer to right action, as in RIGHT action, that it's all good to have a great sense of the world and to be comfortable with yourself and feeling whole, but it's also a key part of working with people. That action is the way, as us human beings, can really have a ripple effect to make change, is to get out there and start talking and learning. So I'm so happy that you're doing this. I'm very optimistic. I know, like I said at the beginning, that some people feel very challenged by the current political environment. And the simple fact is that it's often darkest right before the dawn. And sometimes it takes real challenges for people to struggle through things to find the right answer. And I'm so glad that you're doing that work yourself, that you're sharing that work. And I just say, go for it and have a great time. And I'm hoping that I'll get to connect with many of you to see your projects. Have a great day.